I'm Brad Myers, and I'm going to be demonstrating the Peridot User Interface Management System. Peridot stands for Programming by Example for Real-Time Interface Design Obviating Typing. Peridot allows the user interface designer to create complex, graphical, highly interactive, direct manipulation interfaces by demonstration without programming. This is achieved by applying ideas from visual programming, programming by example, constraints, and plausible inferencing. By successfully integrating these techniques, Peridot promotes extremely rapid prototyping since interfaces can be created and edited very quickly and easily. To invoke Peridot, you can press in this logo window, and that will bring up a prompt window into which you type the name of the procedure that you want to create and the names of any parameters to this procedure. This time we're going to create a scroll bar, so we're going to type in the name scroll bar and the names of the parameters, which are where in file and %scene. These are actually active values so that they can change at runtime. Now we're typing in example values for these parameters. Now Peridot brings up the windows that we're going to need. This is the drawing window. At the top is the parameter window. This is the command menu. And at the bottom is the prompt window. Now we're going to draw a rectangle to be the background for the scroll bar. Now every time you draw something in Peridot, the system automatically checks around to see if it can infer any graphical constraints between that object and the other objects on the scene. So here it is, noticing that the gray rectangle is centered inside the black rectangle with a fixed border all around. And it'll do the same thing for the white rectangle, etc. Now we're going to draw the indicator bar to show what part of the file we can see. The way you do things that vary in a range in Peridot is by drawing each extreme, graphical extreme, and telling the system to remember it. So this will represent when we can see 100% of the file, and we'll tell it to remember it. Now we'll edit this to be, say, 2 pixels high, and this will correspond to the case when we can't see any of the file. Peridot will infer a linear interpolation between these two values, and will allow us to vary in a range based on this number. So what we're going to do is select the %scene active value, and this will be what controls how high the bar is. And now it wants us to type the values for %scene that correspond to the two sizes, and then it immediately updates, after we finish that, immediately updates it to be 57 out of 100 tall. Now we're going to change this value just to make sure it works. In addition, we can change this value from an application program because it is an active value. So we're going to go up into a different window which represents a different process and have an application program change the value of %scene. This will cause the display on the screen to be the display of the number to be updated, and it will change the height of the bar also. So we'll set it to be 75, and it's shown 75% of the way up the white area. And similarly, we can set it to be 20. Now what we're going to do is separately and independently make the indicator bar, go up and down based on what part of the file we're seeing. So we'll tell it to remember this is one extreme, and then we'll edit it with the mouse to be the other extreme, which will be, of course, at the top of the bar. So we'll move it up to the top, and then Peridot infers some constraints of the bar at the top of the thing, and then we're going to select it. As you can see, the selection is shown with this animated border, and tell it to remember this as the other extreme. This time the linear interpolation is going to depend on the active value where in file, so we'll select that. And this is represents the position in the file, so we'll just say that the maximum number of characters in the file is 5,000, and then it'll immediately jump to 2,300 out of 5,000, or about the middle of the bar. Now what we want to do is have this bar move with the mouse. Now we can't use the real mouse to give to demonstrate how it should work, because that's used for giving Peridot commands. So we use the simulated mouse. We press on the left button of the mouse, and then we can say that this bar is mouse dependent. It wants to know what part of the bar the mouse is attached to, and it guesses that it should be the middle, and that's correct. And it guesses that we want the bar to move up and down in a range, and that, of course, is correct also. Now, after it's finished doing this, we can try this out immediately by using the simulated mouse. We can move it up and down. This is a little clumsy, however, so we can use the real mouse by going into run mode. The cursor changes to show that we're running, and we can't give any Peridot commands because the mouse operates like it will for the end user. There's a special keyboard key which turns run mode off. An important point is that linear interpolations do not depend on the particular graphics. The application is independent of the picture. If we edit the graphics, the bar will stay in the right place and at the right percent of the way up and down, and of course it still works with the mouse. You can also create all sorts of other kinds of interfaces with Peridot. Here's a scroll bar being used in a picture display program. It's the same sort of scroll bar. It shows what percent of the picture you're seeing. In addition, this window can be changed size and moved by pressing on these icons. Now, it's important to note that this is done entirely, this interface was defined entirely in Peridot. Of course, an application program is displaying the picture, but that is all that you need an application program for. This is a similar kind of thing, of course, except that you're using a two-dimensional scroll area. Peridot can also create menus. Here's a menu with an illegal value. It's somewhat like the Macintosh. Menus don't have to look that sort of normal way. Here's a menu that sort of goes back and forth. Here's a menu of colors with little arrows to show which one you're seeing. And here's a menu that pretends to be a keypad with the little keys pretending to go in 3 dimensions. Peridot can also create interfaces that use multiple clicking on the mouse buttons, as well as multiple input devices active at the same time. All of this allows Peridot to create its own interface, as well as all of the interaction techniques in the Macintosh toolbox. Peridot proves that user interfaces can be created by demonstration without programming, and that visual programming, programming by example, constraints, and plausible inferencing can be successfully integrated into practical, useful, and easy-to-use systems. Thank you.